Today, we celebrate a truly remarkable accomplishment in the history of mankind, the recovery of a lost liberty. This is the story of the National Rifle Association's quarter-century march toward restoration of the Second Amendment. Told with the actual words of those who led the way, in remarks at annual meetings spanning our nation, and 25 years of extraordinary leadership. Too many have forgotten or don't know that 25 years ago, our cause was almost a lost cause. The sweeping Gun Control Act of 1968 had dismantled the Second Amendment and invited terrible abuses of lawful gun owners and dealers, reducing a right to a privilege to be practiced at your own risk.
That act gave too much power to the government to regulate the activities of gun owners.
I was there when this country was so anti-gun, nobody even dreamed we could pass a federal law to protect gun owners. But it was called the McClure-Volkmer Firearms Owners Protection Act of 1986.
The McClure-Volkmer bill is an attempt not to repeal the 1968 Gun Control Act, although I'd be happy to do that, but to limit its abuses.
We want it, and it's a great big reason you have your guns today.
The triumphant Firearm Owner Protection Act was bedrock on which the Second Amendment would slowly be rebuilt against overwhelming odds.
It's a nasty truth, but those who seek to inflict harm are not fazed by gun control laws. I happen to know this from personal experience.
The single greatest threat to you and your Second Amendment freedom is the armed criminal and the gridlocked, bankrupt criminal justice system that sets him free.
That's what drives politicians to ban firearms. That's what frightens voters to elect anti-gun politicians. And that's what fuels the media assaults on yours and my rights.
You know, if all those people are spending so much time out there, spending a lot of effort, money, in trying to take away your guns and push gun control on you, would divert that same energy and time and effort to the criminal and controlling crime in this country, we'd all be a hell of a lot better off.
Criminals break laws for a living. Experience and common sense tells us new laws won't deter them.
And you can pass more than 20,000 gun laws we have on the book, and you're not going to accomplish a thing until you get tough for the criminal.
You do not take weapons away from law-abiding citizens and then somehow miraculously conclude you've made them safer. Because the people who are going to have guns illegally will continue to do it by definition. Criminals, people who break the law.
If gun control worked, the District of Columbia would have no violence. And yet it is the murder capital of the planet.
Everyone's scared except the criminals.
We would have a safer America if Clinton and Gore were half as interested in locking up criminals as they are in locking up our guns.
Any felon caught with a gun, no matter what he's doing, goes to jail under Project Exile. The only place violence has increased, take a guess, in the media.
The NRA has long led the way in promoting gun safety and in advocating the toughest penalties for those who commit crimes with firearms.
And locking them up, the hardcore criminals up, and throwing away the keys, the best gun control law we could ever have.
During this 25-year restoration of the Second Amendment, violent crime rates dropped from the highest to the lowest in half a century, but not without a fight.
Our differences with the anti-gunners are like a blood feud that'll go on until they leave our constitutional rights alone.
They think they know more about freedom, the Constitution, and patriotism than we do.
In November 1994, you launched a political revolution that changed the face of Congress and rewrote Bill Clinton's idea of American history.
We should not be discouraged by the anti-gun propaganda campaign or their rare victories. We are winning the fight for the hearts and minds of the people.
Mr. Gore thinks he'll win if he can frighten women with lies about guns and then seduce them with something called gun control. Well, manipulating women may be the Clinton legacy, but it won't work.
We don't have to listen to the debating society located in New York. It wants to redo the world their way, which is not freedom, but to take the guns away.
They want to ban every gun in America. It's just that simple.
In state after state, we raise the issue of self-defense through right to carry.
The truth is, very few actually choose to carry a gun, but the bad guys don't know which few they are.
More than half of your fellow Americans now live in a right-to-carry state.
Crime is down in every one of those states.
Let every anti-gun U.S. senator and candidate hear my voice. Never go to bed unafraid of what this body can do to your political career.
For most of this 25-year battle to restore our freedoms, gun-hating politicians were made even more potent opponents with the almost unanimous support of mainstream media.
Some people in the media have tried everything they can to associate the NRA with terrorists, with hate groups, with extremists.
When they lie to further their political agenda, maybe it's time to examine the true role of the First Amendment.
NBC is producing a docudrama of the Branch Davidian tragedy and is trying to buy NRA decals and posters and signs. Anything with NRA on it.
We're often cast as the villain.
Well, I've had it. If they try to rig history and libel the NRA, I'm going to throw the book at them.
All we ask is for the media to allow us equal access to the same Constitution.
They use their First Amendment right to attack and attempt to destroy our Second Amendment right.
Everybody here and everybody that we know commits themselves to that daily defense of our Constitution and never be afraid to stand up and say so.
The press does not own the Bill of Rights.
So listen up, ABC, NBC, CBS, Newsweek, Time. Are you reporting my words? Because I defy you to argue with the truth. If we have to, we'll launch the good ship NRA, and we'll drop anchor in international waters just off the coast, and we'll broadcast the truth from our own TV towers.
Funny thing happened. I was coming into the hall here this afternoon to do an interview, and a man stopped me very politely, autograph book and pen in hand, and he said, "Excuse me, Mr. Heston, could you please get me Wayne LaPierre's autograph?"
As traditional media lost influence, a new adversary gained ground against a traditional stronghold, hunting.
The same elitists who oppose gun rights have joined with the animal rights extremists to destroy hunting.
All of this hysteria over gun control has resulted in unnecessary restrictions on the national pastime of hunting wild game.
Hunter access is being restricted. They close roads, rivers, bridges, and public lands. They bury hunters in blizzards of red tape and fees and regulations and fines.
If you can't see this, it says PETA, People for the Eating of Tasty Animals. I'm all for it. Thank you.
Preserving the right to keep and bear arms requires that hunting remain strong, affordable, and available. I say it's time for every hunter in America to stand with NRA.
At the same time we were taking back the Second Amendment, the Congress, and the White House, the NRA took giant leaps as the world's firearms safety authority.
No group does more to promote gun safety and respect for the laws of this land than the NRA, and I thank you.
We spend more to teach Americans about gun safety than the government and the media combined.
And develop the Eddie Eagle Gun Safety Program, a life-saving service that has reached over 7.5 million youngsters.
We call today on the President and the Congress to provide funding to put the Eddie Eagle Child Safety Program in every elementary classroom in America.
The NRA is the only organization in America that has spent over $100 million on gun safety.
Fact. Accidental gun deaths among children are now the lowest in history.
Eddie Eagle works.
NRA has been blessed with generations of gifted leaders and friends. But from issue to issue and decade to decade, the real power plant driving the NRA is a collective love for